So apparently, Triton didn't want to do his video, so now we're doing
Yeah.
one of
Shut up. I
my
did.
videos. So we're gonna do Yumesuke's library. Different name apparently. Luffy's
Is
versus
this still the same dude?
Katakuri's fight analysis. No, Triton, it's a different Yumesuke.
Okay.
Yumesuke. I'm freaking Japanese.
Remember to turn on all notifications so you don't miss a video.
Oh, you guys
Man,
can hear the video, right?
Yeah, we can hear it.
is he really that caught up? I ask if you talking about classics do my name get brought up? I'm actually making this essay to challenge my own thoughts. Luffy vs Katakuri is my go-to fight for expressing why I don't like hockey. But after thinking about it and reflecting on my Zoro vs Kaku analysis, I theorized that hockey is still a problem, but One Piece's fights might have never been that good to begin with.
This guy's a moron.
Oh, this is where we're starting off with.
What did he, okay then? What did you think
Did
about
he? Did he? Wait?
hockey?
Did he just say? Wait. Did he just say hockey isn't good in the fights? But then he also says, "Oh no, the fights aren't good anyways."
Let me play that back, cause I don't. Well, it would help if I know what he thought about Kaku versus Zoro, but if he's going off of Kaku versus Zoro and saying that none of the fights were good, then I don't know, man.
Katakuri is my go-to fight for expressing why I don't like hockey. But after thinking about it and reflecting on my Zoro vs Kaku analysis, I theorized that hockey is still a problem, but One Piece's fights might have never been that good to begin with. I think I might have just put too much weight on the strategies in the Crocodile and Enel fights. In my Zoro vs Kaku analysis, I mentioned what I'll call button mashing syndrome, which is where characters just throw out random attacks without much logic, usually because Oda's trying to show off new moves. I believe this is one of the biggest issues with One Piece fights alongside hockey. In this analysis, I'll see if my theory is true.
Wait a minute, he's gonna bring up a theory and brought up a theory and try to make the theory work into an actual issue. So he's kind of already going in here with a bias, since I don't actually trust this man to actually make a theory and then not be biased on it.
The fight starts in 877. Luffy uses Red Hawk and clashes with Katakuri's punch. They're both using Haki and are equal. Luffy uses Hawk Gatling to overwhelm Kata with speed, but he turns into Moji. Luffy's arm gets stuck in Kata, allowing the latter to punch him. In 878, Luffy uses Gatling again, but follows up with an elephant gun. He grabs him and they both go into the mirror world. In 879, Luffy uses Hawk Gatling for the third time, but Katakuri counters with multiple arms and overwhelms him. What doesn't make sense is why Luffy
what
keeps
occurs
using
in
Gatling
the
when it
manga
didn't
that
work the first time.
One Piece.
Katakuri's
At the very least, break down an issue you have, or if you have no issue with the current fight. Like, come on, dog. Why do people just synopsis like this? It's fascinating.
counter and victory makes sense because he had more arms. Luffy attacks, but Katakuri zips away.
Right. After that, he does notion thing about the fights. So good. Do more of that, please. Notes, not notion.
When Katakuri attacks, Luffy tries to zip away, but Katakuri predicts his movements and hits him. That was good. Luffy's speed doesn't work, so he goes for strength with gear 3rd. Smart. Katakuri copies him with a bigger punch and overwhelms him. Luffy's macro strategy was to try to use speed and then strength. Katakuri's macro strategy was to copy Luffy, but do it better. In 880, Luffy is getting beaten up by Katakuri. He evades many of Katakuri's feet before getting kicked. This is questionable because Kata has future vision, so why is he missing? In 881,
Because Luffy's faster? Also, he can see so far into the future, my guy.
Luffy continues to evade and take a beating while worrying about mirrors. In 882, Katakuri makes a spear. Luffy is able to avoid the spear attacks. Again, why is Katakuri missing? Katakuri uses flowing mochi to trap him. Luffy
I'm not. I don't. I don't know
Right?
what to say, guy. Also, he can't just activate it all the time. It's gonna drain him.
Isn't it? Doesn't using Gear Force like just takes out all of his hockey for like a few minutes?
No, not gear. No, I'm referring to the future sites.
Ah, right.
You can't just always use future sites. Not to mention, okay, if he's confused as to why Katakuri couldn't hit Luffy, then what did he think about when Katakuri used future sight against Sanji when he tried to stealthily assassinate him? Like, we seen that speed can overcome the future sights. So I don't know how he doesn't know that the speed can overcome future sight.
He tries to use Gear 4th, but Katakuri stops the power-up from happening and tries to suffocate him with Mirror Mochi in 883. Luffy gets out by eating the mochi. That's a good counter. Luffy breaks his shrine with Elephant Gun. People seeing him eat makes him angry. Katakuri uses squared mochi and this hurts Luffy's hands when they clash. The logic is questionable, but I'll let it slide. Both use How Haki in their clash.
He's got a more. It's got a stronger armament hockey, so it kind of makes. Oh yeah, never mind. Yeah, it's got a stronger hockey, so his arm just becomes plain old human flesh, and then punching something so hard will make his hand hurt. Is that unless you mean to say that Luffy's armament should nullify the denseness the denseness whatever the denseness of Katakuri's armaments, in which case maybe. Also, hello meme spice.
Slide. Both use How Haki in their clash. Luffy is able to get a hit in when Katakuri is angry. Even Luffy is surprised that Future Vision didn't save him, which brings back my question. Why has Katakuri missed any attacks if he has Future Vision? Rainfall Mochi is met with Gear 4th.
Wait. Are you telling me this instance is a shoddy representation of Future Sight? You do realize he can't use it then. What the... That better not be what he's saying about that. It has to be that. No other way to see... no other way to view that sentence. He must have meant Future Sight should have been able to dodge that, but why didn't do it this time? Must be a problem with the writing, even though he clearly says afterwards that he got disturbed and wasn't able to concentrate. And was unable to concentrate.
Why has Katakuri missed any attacks if he has Future Vision? Rainfall Mochi is met with Gear 4th and a successful Kong gun. In 884, Luffy discovers that Katakuri isn't a Logia user, but a Paramecia user that uses Future Vision to perfectly evade, creating the illusion of a Logia user. That was a great reveal, but because of Haki, it doesn't mean as much. If there was no Haki, this would be a game-changing moment, because now Luffy can land blows, but with Haki, it doesn't change anything. Logia users can't automatically phase through Haki attacks anyway, because they take damage. This reveal exposes a flaw in...
Yes, they can? I don't know where he got that from. There's been several instances where Logia users can do the exact same thing. Let me play that back. I'm very confused.
Luffy can land blows, but with Haki, it doesn't change anything. Logia users can't automatically phase through Haki attacks.
Oh, no, Logia users. I thought he said, Oh, no, wait, Logia, not Paramecia.
But with Haki, it doesn't change anything. Logia users can't automatically phase through Haki attacks anyway, because they take damage. This reveal exposes a flaw in Katakuri's Future Vision, but the Paramecia reveal means nothing. Another one of Katakuri's macro strategy.
Oh, alright then. Wait, doesn't that... no, it should help. Like, Future Vision with his Devil Fruit. what does he mean by that? He uses his future sights to evade the attacks. And since he can just change his body into mochi, he can just spread apart his body with the mochi and evade the attack because it passes through them. It's rather ingenious, maybe too strong, but still. How is that an issue? It's well, he already has an issue with the future sights because he doesn't understand the future sights. So I don't know where I want to go with this because he clearly doesn't understand the move. Is anyone else in this chat? No?
I'm still here. I'm just doing something else because, like I said, I'm not. I don't feel equipped to talk about this.
Whatever.
Katakuri's future vision, but the paramecia reveal means nothing. Another one of Katakuri's macro strategies was to use Kenbun Haki to slip through all attacks. Now, I'd expect one of Luffy's macro strategies to be to break Katakuri's focus to break his Kenbun, but it's not. In Gear 4th, Luffy's Buso Haki trumps Katakuri's. He realizes this as he lands more blows. Katakuri regains composure and
Oh, never mind.
begins to slip through attacks again using Kenbun Haki. Then he traps Luffy's arm in mochi and uses the donuts to land a blow in.
What? I don't. Did he? Now I'm confused again. Did he not? Did he not realize that future sight was or wasn't enabled because he was flustered? Because then he just passes off him dodging with future sight there. That would have been an easy instance of saying the inconsistency of the.
In 885. Power Mochi apparently puts his Buso Haki back on Gear 4th's level. Luffy tries to attack, but Katakuri's donuts give him more arms to attack, allowing him to land hits. Gear 4th begins to wear out, so Luffy retreats. He takes a Charlotte hostage while running. Luffy returns in 888 and starts with another Gatling. This is the button mashing. Luffy's only effective move has been Gear 4th, so what is he doing? The reason he ran away was to recharge Gear 4th and Haki. In 891, Luffy keeps trying to fight in his base form. Why isn't he using Gear 4th, and why is Katakuri missing some of his attacks?
Because he's faster, fast enough to dodge some of his attacks, and Gear 4 had no shot at a completely composed Katakuri. He did mention that Luffy's goal should be to make Katakuri be unable to use future sights, but in the instance where he was recharging his Haki, he mentioned that he wants to face someone like this head on at full power to get stronger. I don't know if the guy didn't read the story, but it surely seems like it's. Now, you could change the argument into why doesn't Luffy try to mess up Katakuri mentally. That would be a different argument, so I'm not going to dwell on that.
Luffy uses another Gear 3rd attack, and this leads to him taking damage. Another dumb decision. But Luffy starts getting a flashback about future vision. One might argue that Katakuri has been missing because of Luffy's future vision, but the only time Luffy tried to use it so far was right before Elephant Gun in this chapter. We see him close his eyes and focus while remembering someone's words. There's no indication that he was using it before. At the end of 892, Luffy gets hit by someone's dart and then takes a hit from Katakuri's spear. In 893, Katakuri continues to beat the crap out of Luffy, only missing some blows. Luffy first effectively uses precognition when dodging the second dart. Katakuri stabs himself to even the cheating his siblings did. In 894, Luffy is able to effectively use future vision to dodge Katakuri's punches, but it's not perfect and Square Mochi still hurts him. After burning Mochi, Luffy is able to land a blow, but if Katakuri is
It's not perfect, you say? So you're telling me he can dodge moves even with future sights? Oh. I guess the implication of perfect means there can be a stronger level of future sight? Or what does he mean that he can only activate it sometimes? Because I don't know what he meant by perfected. Because as far as I know, you can't just get as far as the story knows, I mean, story says, and what I know, you can't get a stronger future sight. You can just unlock it. So I don't know what he meant by perfected. I guess he does he mean stable future sight? Whatever. It's hard to tell with this guy since he's clearly missing information.
And Square Mochi still hurts him. After burning Mochi, Luffy is able to land a blow, but if Katakuri is calm, why couldn't he slip through it? Kata lands more hits before Luffy decides to use Gear 4th Snake.
Now he says that, which, like I said before, does he... Well, okay, he answered my question, so it's fine. Yeah, I'm still gonna say fast enough to dodge the moves. It's always been fast enough to dodge the moves. Sanji demonstrated it. I don't know how he doesn't know that, or understand that, or equated that with Luffy.
Man. So what was Luffy's macro strategy from chapter 888 to 894? Ever since he came back from Bound Man, he has had no strategy and was basically just button mashing until he started to remember Rayleigh's training. And even when he started seeing the future, why did he think any of his normal attacks would work when Katakuri already countered Gear 2nd and 3rd at the start of the fight? So far, only Gear 4th attacks have been consistently effective. He shouldn't have been fighting without it. In 894,
he can't just whip it out and then leave. That leaves him way open. And he can't just leave Brûlée out in the open, somewhere obvious, because Katakuri could be able to take her.
Snake Man's Python.
Oh wow, I pressed the spacebar. He has to find an opening from the guy. And that's what he was trying to do. He's trying to bully him into an opening. Wear him out, get a good hit on him get exhausted, or maybe one of them get their strategy changed. Luffy's a very simple fighter. He usually just uses force and not as little strategy, force with little strategy behind him. So this is how he fights. I'm guessing he doesn't realize this is how Luffy fights, so that's a... Why am I still doing this video then?
Confuses Katakuri and it allows for some free hits. Katakuri uses Sliced Mochi to strike Luffy. Why did this attack land? Luffy was
Slice? Well, he's been using Japanese names for the hockey, so I guess whatever.
Katakuri uses Sliced Mochi to strike Luffy. Why did this attack land? Luffy was able to dodge attacks in his base form, but he can't dodge in Gear 4th? Questionable. The attack sticks to Luffy and...
Well, they're literally fighting each other face to face. I'm pretty sure at some point in between both of them getting hurt, that Katakuri can land a punch on him. Therefore, something like this should be possible. Unless you're saying a move like this shouldn't be able to touch Luffy. In which case, that's a different argument.
It allows for free hits. I don't know why Katakuri didn't stick with this attack until Luffy found a counter. Instead, he goes into a Gatling exchange that leads to both of them taking damage. Luffy uses Black Mamba, but Katakuri is able to dodge, close the distance, and kick Luffy. Again, Luffy taking this hit with his speed is a little questionable. He dodged an attack in chapter 885. That was with Bound Man, which I believe is slower, and without future vision.
Why do you think it's slower? Also, like I said, speed can trump the future vision.
He also dodged several times in his base form. At the end of this...
Yeah? Did you say something, Triton?
I sneezed.
Bruh.
...is slower, and without future vision. He also dodged several times in his base form. At the end of this chapter, King Cobra goes against Sliced Mochi. In 896, both fall down, but Luffy gets back up.
What if you could do SEO smarter and faster? With Wix, you can edit your meta tag.
God, these do not need to be this long. Come on, guy.
This fight is not as good as I remember. It's just average or below. There are macro and micro strategies, but they are so simple. I'll start with the macros. Luffy tries speed, Katakuri beats him. Luffy tries strength, Katakuri beats him. So the only way Luffy is able to close these gaps is with a power-up. Even though the gap is closed, the only reason Luffy is able to land hits is because he accidentally angered Katakuri. Once he regains composure, Katakuri is unable to be hit. Kata's macro strategy is to slip through attacks and get in hit.
Wait a second, he's using Code Geass music?
Is he?
Yeah, he is. Wait a second. Like, wait a fucking second. This motherfucker's
That's
doing
crazy, Trident.
because I was like half listening. I was like, yeah, and so I heard da na 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 na. Like, wait a second. You don't deserve Code Geass. Fuck you.
Oh, got so defensive over here.
He doesn't deserve Code Geass. No, he just doesn't.
He doesn't. He doesn't, he says.
Composure, Katakuri is unable to be hit. Kata's macro strategy is to slip through attacks and get in hits. When Luffy comes back, he has no macro strategy and just starts button mashing with attacks that have already failed. Why didn't he wait until Gear 4th recharged? Wasn't that why he ran away to begin with? Then he starts
Well, also to regain his hockey, but specifically to regain his hockey.
awakening future vision, but his attacks still aren't good enough, so his macro becomes Snake Man to close the speed and power gaps. Python combined with precognition allows Luffy to land hits. He wins by using the strongest and fastest Snake Man attack. So when you step back and see the full picture, Luffy's entire struggle was that he was too weak and slow, so his solution was to get stronger and faster. His opponent also
Well, faster specifically, because he still didn't have a stronger arm in hockey, so he just needed to land hits in.
He wasn't weak. He just couldn't get a hit in.
I mean, you exist.
I woke up.
He woke up.
Oh, for a second I thought you were in the call the entire time.
I joined a couple minutes ago.
struggle was that he was too weak and slow, so his solution was to get stronger and faster. His opponent also had future vision, so he had to also get future vision to nullify it. This is unbelievably basic, arguably DBZ levels of basic. The most creative part is the future vision.
Not much.
I mean, like I said earlier, Luffy always tries to bully, strong arm, overpower the enemy. This is something you should have expected with Luffy. Now, I don't know if you want to say that's a bad thing, considering he just realized that One Piece fights aren't really that good to begin with. I believe with the Kaku versus Zoro fight. So take what you will from that. But yeah, I think you should have expected something like this with a Luffy fight, with a Luffy fight specifically.
Basic, arguably DBZ levels of basic. The most creative part is the future vision, and the counter is to copy the move to cancel it out. Another issue is on Katakuri's side. After Snake Man, Katakuri
He didn't copy it to cancel it out. He just went faster.
Yeah. He kind of just got future vision, decided that, alright, this is good, and then decided to use Snake Man because he realized that he needs to be even faster.
Katakuri never slips through any more attacks, despite it being a strategy that Luffy never found a solution for. If you have an effective strategy, why would you stop using it? And Luffy had a solution before Snake Man. Make him lose focus.
His strategy was slipping through him. Okay, that's he used Future Sight to do that, and he got past the Future Sight so he can't slip by him. So yeah.
I don't think you realize, even if they're both using Future Sight at the same time, one of them still needs to be faster. Which,
Oh.
I mean, of course he doesn't understand that, because he doesn't understand that being faster than the future sight is a possibility.
Didn't Luffy ever intentionally use this? In 885, Luffy says, "You will expose your weakness again." You'd think that Luffy would try to bring it out, but he doesn't. He only accidentally broke his focus with the shrine. When Luffy came back and started button mashing, a good idea would have been to make him angry so that he can land hits, but instead, this tactic never comes.
That's not how Luffy fights. I mean, no, not I mean. That isn't how Luffy fights. And unless something otherwise in the story says, that isn't how he's going to fight ever. He doesn't really do that emotional bullshit. I could have said that better.
Up again. Now, micro strategies. First off, why was Katakuri missing so much before Luffy got future vision? That's inconsistent. Every time Katakuri plans to slip through attacks, his future vision is perfect, but when he wants to attack, suddenly he's
not perfect. He still gets hit even while using future vision. It should have been clear when he did Snake Man. So I don't. Did he not read those parts where he got hit by Snake Man?
Every time Katakuri plans to slip through attacks, his future vision is perfect, but when he wants to attack, suddenly his future vision is inaccurate. One of the Mochi Man's micro strategies was to overwhelm Luffy with multiple fists. Luffy never found a counter to this, so why didn't he spam it? It works at the start and against Bound Man. Why did he ever stop using it? Another strategy was slipping through an attack and trapping Luffy in his body. Why didn't he spam this as well? It always led to free hits. Luffy eating the mirror mochi was a good counter. Katakuri squared mochi was a
Yeah, because it's literally food on top of him. How else is he going to counter it? Well, I mean, you could dig through it, but still, it's just literally food on top of Luffy. It's a pretty basic attack that anyone with a brain could have countered if they have enough muscle strength. Unless you are implying that he should have ate through Katakuri, in which case that would be pretty weird.
strategy was slipping through an attack and trapping Luffy in his body. Why didn't he spam this as well? It always led to free hits. Luffy eating the mirror mochi was a good counter. Katakuri squared mochi was a good advantage, but Luffy never found a counter to it and won anyway. Luffy taking a hostage and retreating was smart. Python was a clever attack. Sliced mochi was a good attack, bringing back the sticking, but once again, Luffy never found a counter, so why didn't he spam this? Also, why was Luffy taking so many hits in Snake Man? I assume it isn't slower than Bound Man. Bound Man only took damage when Mochi used sticking or extra arms, two moves Luffy never countered.
But he's also frustrated. He's in a weakened state. How does he not... Oh no, he brought it up. But then he's not going to bring it up again that he was in a weakened state? Did this guy read the story?
What do you think?
But Snake Man was taking hits from weaves and regular strikes despite having future vision. Inconsistent writing. I'm not going to question the stamina of either combatant because that is simply up to the writer. It is a little disappointing how Luffy just won because of endurance and not because he actually outsmarted or overpowered Katakuri.
Because that's how he fights good... What the hell is this man
I would say it's
doing?
also respect.
Yeah, also that. Oh, so about the thing about why doesn't he just make his body sticky? If he does make his body sticky more often, Luffy could just try and dodge it. Like, I don't know why people don't realize that Luffy can also try and evade his sticky parts. It's not as simple as use sticky parts, win game.
Button mashing syndrome isn't as prevalent in this fight, but it does appear. I place Katakuri's refusal to rely on effective macro or micro strategies under button mashing syndrome.
He's not using anything effective. He was clearly better, and it was toying with him with a good portion of the... Does he know that Katakuri was toying with Luffy? Because he says strategy like Katakuri was using any strong stratagem like, at all. He was clearly just doing what Luffy did, but better. Taunting the man. That's... Yeah, that too. I should have brought that... I think I should have brought that up earlier, but whatever.
Instead of the characters using what's effective, they show off new moves. What's worse is that Katakuri had two phases. In his first phase, he was just mocking Luffy by copying him.
Alright.
But once he used Mirror Emoji, he entered phase 2, where he stopped underestimating Luffy. So he says. Yet not only does he not spam his most effective strategies, he holds back on using his strongest moves. Right after Luffy breaks out, he uses...
Why would someone just use the strongest moves willy-nilly? If they miss, they could be wide open, or the opponent could find strategies against it. Hence why it's called a big move. Oh, no. That's the weakness of using your big move like that. You could play around it. Unless your, big move is perfect in every conceivable way. Which I highly doubt slicing Muchi... I highly doubt slicing Muchi can't be dodged.
most effective strategies, he holds back on using his strongest moves. Right after Luffy breaks out, he uses squared mochi. I'll give that to him. But later down the line, he brings out donuts, power mochi, and sliced mochi. Why did he wait to use these stronger techniques if he was no longer underestimating Luffy? Since sliced is his final attack and only used in the last phase, I assume that this is his trump card. If he was taking Luffy seriously, he shouldn't have saved this move up until Luffy got stronger. He even worries about Luffy getting stronger at the end of 892, before Snake Man, yet he keeps this move in his pocket.
Well, for starters, he still doesn't think he's that much of a threat, and I believe he's talking about Miramochi. Yeah, Miramochi completely did Luffy in, mobilized him even, so what you should say is, why did Katakuri let Luffy get defeated by such a simple move, or didn't check on Luffy if it was actually defeated by the Miramochi? I believe that's what you should have said, but whatever.
And then Haki. The only good thing Haki did was allow Katakuri to imitate Logia users and slip through attacks, but it adds a negative later on to counter this positive. The only reason the two can even strategize is because their Haki levels are even. Nearly every attack has Buso Haki in it. Luffy needed to get his Kenbun Haki on Katakuri's level before he was allowed to win. This almost undoes the aforementioned positive. This also removes...
What do you mean? He still has that up his arsenal. But no, he clearly he still doesn't understand that you can just be faster than the observation Haki. That's probably, I wouldn't say his only, but definitely his biggest issue with this argument, because he does not understand speed can counter future sights.
Removes the potential strategy of exploiting Katakuri's anger, which is a better strategy. Haki also reduced the impact of the Paramecia reveal because, like I said, it made no difference if Mochi was Logia or Paramecia, since Haki can harm both.
That's not the difference. The difference is... Wait, no, not the difference. The thing is, a Paramecia... Well, actually... Well, considering Oda retconned it, I'm not fully certain what he tried to do with Katakuri's double fruits. I thought you were just trying to... Maybe he was trying to just make Katakuri look cooler. Have it like a... not proto... inferior Logia. Yeah, it kind of made his Paramecia seem like an inferior Logia. Or something. Imitate an Logia. I guess that might be one of them, but I'm not fully certain considering he retconned it.
Haki wasn't that harmful in this particular fight, but it barely helped and almost undid that help. Maybe you're saying, but Yume, Naruto did the same thing in Lee vs. Gaara.
That's completely different. Why Why did the straw man bring up the straw man? The straw man is dumb, and the straw man that you brought up is dumb.
And Naruto vs Sasuke, and you like those fights. There's a similarity. Both are hand-to-hand fights where power-ups change the tides, but there's also a major difference. 1. Most of the power-ups were in the combatant's arsenal before they used it, and 2. There was good CQC. Lee had all of his gates before the Gaara fight, we just didn't know it. All of Sasuke's power-ups were accounted for. Stage 1 was already used before against Zaku. Sasuke's incomplete Sharingan was made clear by Kakashi and Itachi's Sharingans, so his power-up was only a matter of time. Stage 2 was foreshadowed by the Sound 4 using it, and Sasuke using it when he broke the coffin. Naruto's initial Jinchuriki form was used against Haku. His one-tailed form was the only power-up that was not foreshadowed. In Luffy's case, him being able to use Future Vision wasn't foreshadowed. Snake Man is dubious. Having different forms of Gear 4th was established by the other forms, but his acceleration power wasn't foreshadowed, and the CQC isn't good for most of the fight.
Technically it was. Bound Man uses one of the moves Snake Man uses. And since Snake Man primarily uses Culverine type attacks, I guess it's a bit more of an association than I mean, association should be fine, I guess. But yeah, that would be fine. I'm fine if you're skeptical with Snake Man.
Other forms, but his acceleration power wasn't foreshadowed, and the CQC isn't good.
Wait. Well, he said acceleration power. Well, I wouldn't say he's faster. Oh wait, I wouldn't say his attacks are faster, but Snake Man, the body itself, it was definitely faster. I guess it just wasn't clear enough for him, which, alright, I guess it's fine.
Good for most of the fight. In conclusion, this fight is not that good, and it's only partially Haki's fault. The fight is plagued with button mashing syndrome, Haki levels being a requirement, and inconsistencies in the effectiveness of powers. But even without those flaws, the macro strategy boils down to matching the opponent in speed, strength, and Haki. That is extremely simple, and there isn't any good CQC strategizing to make up for the lack of quality macro.
Quality macro? Oh, okay, I see. He doesn't like the choreography, and the strategy sucked. That's what he meant. Yeah, this guy's a moron. I don't know how he didn't realize speed can trump future sight.
I mean, we all knew that.
Yeah, but I would like people to actually read the story and understand it, rather than them reading the story and not understanding something so basic. But I guess I expect too much from people. So, anyone else want to do another one? You two gobshites? Me? You want to do another
I
one?
don't have one.
You don't?
If you have another one, I can do it, but I don't have one.
Well, I'm not doing that one. Nah. Freaking Yabo is not even saying anything, and the damn PEEvisited list agitated currently. I did have another one. Yeah, this one. I guess I'll do this one, especially since he mentioned Dragon Ball in this video. I'll do that. I had a list.
We might.
I already did that one, though I should really do that one again, considering. Probably could do that one. Can't do that one. Don't. Already did that one. Did that one. I'm not doing that one. Well, yeah, you showed me that one. Don't care. No. No. Certainly not. Alright, I guess I got one more video at the back pocket. Till then, I guess the list is finitoed.
Dang.
Unless we get people to do the hell was it called? I just scrolled down. Why did I do that? Genlock, yeah. The freaking Genlock watch along.
Watching Genlock?
No.
I forgot that was the thing.
No. Namek, you still here?
Fall
I believe
asleep.
that.
Yeah, I don't know, unless you guys want to do Rent a Girlfriend. Because I didn't do the damn thing.
Mario Kart? Mario Party?
So these tropes aren't
I
very.
already did this one. Me Rost. Kid wanted to do a freaking PEEvisited and then backed out not even halfway through the damn
I'm
shies.
sorry.
Currently, I want to do another one. Unless you got a video, I'm gonna do the one I posted right now. I'm not posted. One you're seeing on screen right now.
Don't you just have
Remember to turn-
U-Block?
I'm
One sec.
incognito.
Why?
It's fine. I mean, I could just easily not have my account on, so it don't get bombarded with this man's videos. But well, yeah, I could have done that.
Remember to turn on all notifications so you don't miss a video. Dragon Ball Z and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure are both stories that are filled with simplicity in their writing, yet they've managed to capture and keep my interest. In this essay, I'll be breaking down the simplicity of these stories and examining how they still manage to be good. When I refer to DBZ, I'm talking about the Saiyan Saga to the Buu Saga. I'll start by examining the characters. There are different
I think everyone knows what section of Dragon Ball is considered Dragon Ball Z, considering the anime. for
It's just
starters.
weird why you leave.
categories of characters, like flat versus round,
Also, I just realized how short this video is. What a... Characters? Plots? Themes. Alright, character, plot,
Themes? Fine.
and static versus dynamic. There isn't a dictionary
how
definition for these terms.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's
why
like, I
did-
don't hate
why did
themes,
this
it's just so
man
many
bring
people-
up themes in the previous video.
Themes so much, and it's so weird.
Since he brought up themes here, I don't know why he didn't bring up themes in the other video. Especially since he compared Luffy versus Katakuri to Dragon Ball. But whatever.
But people generally agree on what they mean. A flat character is one that is simple and can easily be summarized by one or two character traits. Think of a paper on a table.
There's a
There's only
definition to this thing. Look it up and then say it on screen. Come on, guy.
one side to look at. Round characters have multiple character traits and more details on them. These can be backstory, motivation, likes, and more. They're usually less predictable than flat characters. A round character
Man,
is like a
Luffy's
ball
not
on a
saying that
table.
JoJo only
There are
has
several
three
angles to
fucking
look at.
character arc-
This brings me
two-
to there's
three
backstory,
archetypes or something.
motivation, likes, and more. They're usually less predictable than flat characters. A round character is like a ball on a table. There are several angles to look at. This brings me to DBZ and Jojo. I would describe most of these characters as seemingly flat, but actually round. This is because in a majority of their scenes, they show off one or two character traits and seem to be simple and straightforward, but every now and then, there are scenes that show a different side to them, showing how round they are. With DBZ,
So round. I guess we want to be specific, but if we want to be specific, I should say Araki doesn't really know how to write a character too well. While Toriyama doesn't know how to write character too well in general. Just
I was just gonna say, wait up.
character trait or two. Character trait or two for a character for Toriyama.
I can use Piccolo as an example. He's an unfriendly and strategic guy. Most of his scenes have him showing off one of these two traits. But when he sacrificed his life with Gohan, we saw a completely new side to him. Krillin is similar. I define him as cowardly and dependable. Most of his scenes are him being scared, but still fighting anyway. But then you have a scene like his refusal to kill Android 18, showing another side to him. I could say the same about Goku and Vegeta. Same goes for Jojo. Jotaro is mostly stoic and rude in his scenes, but there are a few scenes that show different sides to him. He put himself in jail so that he wouldn't harm others. He cared for his mom. He showed his friends a cigarette trick off screen, and he's been shown to enjoy his time with the Crusaders every now and then. Polnareff is mostly arrogant and ignorant.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool to see those character traits on screen. Well,
That's
some of them, anyways. The ones that were.
problem that I have when I go back to part 3, because it's just part 4 like had better character writing, but there's like more of them. Whereas like part 3 has like what, 6, and it's like the main for the most part, and it's just like could have done better.
Avdol and Kakyoin have segments where they get to have more character. I guess I would use more character.
There's some things. There's definitely some things, but we could have gotten more.
Polnareff is kind of a off and on, depending. It's an off and on depending on the character. And Joseph is pretty consistent all around. Yeah, that's what I say about them. Oh, and Iggy's there. Iggy,
Like, for example, like Kakyoin, like we got like a little story about like his past, but that happened when he
was
died.
dead.
So maybe we should get that idea. Just his own
Get
feelings about how
aspects of those
he felt like he was
characters.
alone with stand, like just not having a stand, and then seeing these guys. Like I don't know, you could have just maybe shown his family or something. Just how disconnected they are towards Kakyoin's like ability.
Yeah, they could have done way more character stuff with the group.
What did you say, me?
They could have done way more character stuff with the group. Like, we saw the handshake thing in the submarine. They could have gotten more of that. Like, them maybe coming up with it or something.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool. Like a, well, I guess Araki just wanted. I guess. Let me preface by saying, I guess Araki just wanted it be more fight centric than with character. I mean, that doesn't really make what happened with Kakyoin good, but just
So, like, Avdol's thing. Like, before his fake out, he was stoic, and then when he came back, he became more, like, outgoing.
yeah. I did not really notice that with Avdol.
You didn't notice him peeing in a tube was extremely different.
That specifically. I remember him doing that specifically, but no other instances where he had like more freer personality.
Oh
He's
yeah.
just pretty much stayed the same all throughout after that moment.
Oh yeah. Now that you say that, he really did. Even during the I forgot his name, the card fight,
Darby.
Darby. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Araki's character writing is pretty flat.
Yeah, it was pretty weak in part three. I would say like the weakest stand group.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Part 3 is pretty weak. Second, I would probably say is Part 5's group.
Yeah, yeah. Part 4 and 6, I like them.
Ignorant, but when Avdol died,
6,
he showed a
they had
remorseful
Brocherati. I fucking love them. You know, Naranja, Mista was cool.
Polnareff is mostly arrogant and ignorant, but when Avdol died, he showed a remorseful side, despite disrespecting him not too long ago. Now, static versus dynamic. The static character is one that doesn't change over the course of a story. A dynamic character is one that does. This is no character arc versus a character arc.
Not exactly. You can just simply be a character changing, or their personality gets slight tweaks. It doesn't really exactly need to be a character arc.
You know, or is Sakura's eye is a bit on the left, is a bit too far out.
Yeah, it has to be closer, accentuate the billboard forehead, or whatever the fuck they said. I have not watched Naruto.
Dynamic characters have to be round because of the fact that they change as a person. When I look at DBZ and Jojo, I see primarily static characters. Goku, Krillin, Trunks, Tien, and Yamcha don't change from start to finish. The first 6 Jojo protagonists are
Yeah.
the same from start to finish. There are character arcs though. Piccolo has a very minor one with Gohan at the start of the Saiyan saga.
Well, if we're just going off of Dragon Ball Z, minor, but if we're actually going with the entire story, very significant, considering he wanted to take over the world. But hey, we're just doing Dragon Ball Z, not the entire story.
He wasn't the kind of person that would sacrifice his life for another, but his time with Gohan changed that. He also stopped trying to take over the world. Vegeta had a long character arc that lasted the entirety of DBZ.
Then mentioned that, well, he did say it in Z, but wait, then why did he say minor? Whatever.
He also stopped trying to take over the world. Vegeta had a long character arc that lasted the entirety of DBZ. Gohan had a character arc during the Android saga. In Jojo, Koichi and Johnny have arcs. So these 2 manga have primarily characters that appear flat but have roundness to them and are static.
Wait, why did you bring up part 4? No, that's not fair. That's not fair. You should have just stick with part 3.
That's pretty unfair because part 4 is really good.
Not that.
Those
Not
characters.
that. Not that. He primarily talked about. First off, he should have stuck with one arc to compare it with Dragon Ball Z being one story. You know, one story. But yeah, part 4 is the better arc for character writing.
These 2 manga have primarily characters that appear flat but have roundness to them and are static. Both static and flat are seen as unwanted traits in writing and are usually given to minor characters. So why are these characters still good? I think this is because flat and static characters aren't inherently bad, and it's all a matter of execution.
Oh, you don't say.
Pretty cool. People may not think that, but
Yeah, but I feel as though people with not knowledge, not sense, but an understanding on how things in the writing world work would know how well execution matters with ideas and characters and such. So saying something like this feels very obvious. like stating the obvious.
I think this is because flat and static characters aren't inherently bad, and it's all a matter of execution. The things these characters have to back up their supposed flaws are personality, chemistry, and actions. A good personality is subjective, but self-explanatory. It's one that makes you want to see more of the character. I went into more detail in my video, How to Write a Good Character. Chemistry is how well the characters interact. If two characters' interactions are fun and enjoyable, then they have good chemistry. There are different types of
It could be utter disdain and constantly annoying each other, and that would be good chemistry. Good
Yeah,
chemistry.
I think Rohan and Josuke has good chemistry.
Good chemistry does not mean positive chemistry.
Yeah.
If two characters
a story way and like a writing way, or just a character way, you know.
interactions are fun and enjoyable, then they have good chemistry. There are different types of chemistry, like friendly, competitive, or romantic, but what matters the most is how good the chemistry is. It doesn't even have to be positive. Two characters could despise each other, but if their interactions are entertaining, I'd call that good chemistry. The third factor is actions. The actions a character performs can make them more likable. I also went over this in my character video, but I'll put DBZ and Jojo under the lens. I'll start with DBZ. Piccolo and Krillin taking on Nappa together after he crushed the rest of the Z fighters increased my appreciation for them. In fact, I have an entire video on Piccolo, and all of his actions and accomplishments increased my love for the character. Gohan defeating Cell and the Juniors, Vegeta mopping 19, and Tien holding off Cell are more examples of character actions that increase my appreciation for a specific character.
With Vegeta with guy's ass beat. And that wasn't for like anything, he did it because pride.
Now, I'll say this. This is the consequence of a battle action shonen like Dragon Ball and JoJo, but they didn't really mention anything that wasn't involving the big punch as a action they did that heightened his enjoyment. Now, if he was actually decent and put Dragon Ball, and I don't mean the first half, I meant the entire story, I would mention Tien giving up on being a mercenary as something that made me appreciate Tien. Because when I saw that, yeah, I was definitely surprised to see any sort of character depth with Toriyama. So something like Tien being hesitant on being an assassin was pretty cool.
Talking about Leo, the Dragon Ball doesn't exist. It's not a story. You're just making that up.
Yeah, probably. Considering this guy didn't bring it up the entire story. Fucking, what type of person just brings up half the story?
Buddy, Dragon Ball fan?
I would hope a Dragon Ball fan would at least mention something in the first half of the story.
It's weird. And plus, if he talked about Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, we can be like, okay, let's talk about like 2 parts of JoJo or something like that. You know, we can add more stuff.
No, it's not Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. It's Dragon Ball. It's not Dragon Ball Z. It's Dragon Ball. It's a complete story.
Something. That's more examples.
Jojo has this too. Kakyoin helping Polnareff with his revenge, Koikyu holding off Kira.
Isn't that just inconsequence?
Nice, but again, like I said, I just wish we just got more. I mean, heck, that could have been probably a part where they decided to, once they finally beat everything, they're like, everything's, everything died down. It's like, maybe that's where they start their handshake or something.
I'm a bit lost on the Kakyoin Polnareff parts. I don't...
With Avdol, when Avdol got shot, he was like, okay, let's get the fuck out of here, and grabbed a car.
Oh. that it?
from what I remember.
Isn't it
Yeah,
just-
because that's like one of the biggest
It's been a
moments they
bit
had
since I
with each
read
other.
that fight.
I mean, if that's it, isn't that just a teammate helping out another teammate?
Yeah, but Kakuin did indeed like snap Polnareff out of it because he needed him to be in the game. Yeah, that's also a teammate thing. Yeah.
I can't really notion anything personally. I don't know. I can't really say. Well, I can't really say much about Kakuin in general, but specifically, anything from Kakuin's personality, influencing Polnareff's personality with that conversation.
Jojo has this too. Kakuin helping Polnareff
He just helped him out.
with his revenge,
Can be
Kotyu
said
holding
as
off
a team
Kira,
thing.
Okuyasu saving Josuke from Stray Cat, and Bruno taking on Diavolo are all moments that leveled up the characters for me. Character journeys are also a long form of actions. I explained it in my Rock Lee video, but it's basically
Devil's
a
Explain was really just like
Stray
in the middle
Cat.
of an action
Why
scene.
wouldn't he? Did he expect him just to stay there?
Most of these were just, yes, they did that, but not much of their character was being shown here. Like,
I realized that as well. It's like action scenes instead of just like Okuyasu and Josuke just having fun or something, like getting money or lottery. Sorry.
yeah, that. Or, Goku and Gohan out in the field keeping Super Saiyan on, enjoying the scenery and stuff. He didn't mention something like that. So,
Handshake. How could you forget the handshake?
yeah.
Kakuin and Polnareff.
You guys already mentioned the handshake.
Mention it. I'm still.
Did they even have any other interactions apart from those two?
Could not tell
Other
you.
than Kakuin?
Sadly.
Oh, let's not delve too deep into that, but yeah, that's a bit of a brain thingy to ruminate on. Germinate? Whatever the right word is.
Josuke from Stray Cat, and Bruno taking on Diavolo are all moments that leveled up the characters for me. Character
That's not
journeys
just-
are also
no,
a long
They
form.
also helped each other out with a freaking Steely Dan.
Steely Dan. Well, they also had, but what's the word?
They had old Joseph
Yeah,
with them.
old Joseph. So I don't know if you should count that.
Form of actions. I explained it in my Rock Lee video, but it's basically the physical and or mental journey a character goes on throughout the story. A revenge plot is a simple example that both Polnareff and Okuyasu go on. If a character goes on an interesting journey, that reflects back on them, making them more interesting. I don't think I'd like Polnareff as much if he didn't have that revenge plot.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm not
the
saying
revenge
the-
plot
I'm
was
not
pretty
saying the
good, but
revenge plot was nothing to Polnareff. I'm just saying it kind of just gets on and then gets off whenever
Yeah.
and they continued on.
His quest for revenge gets turned on and off whenever the story wants to. So
Like, nothing changes after the revenge. He's basically the same.
yeah, that's
That's really it.
This guy
Then they came back with the Hail to You guy.
yeah, this guy. I mean, we already established this, but this guy is pretty dumb.
I don't know how Triumph thinks Part 3 is
Both
the best.
plots are
Because it got Kakuin in it, and he loves some Kakuin.
Yeah, that's like a little funny story. I also, when I was much younger, liked Kakuin, but now it's just like, nah, Polnareff. It's just, and also, it's not my favorite part.
are simple and repetitive. By that, I mean the number of different events that happen are minimal, and they happen every arc. An example of a complex plot would be the York New City arc from Hunter x Hunter. In my analysis on it, I pointed out the large number of different events that happen in one arc. In DBZ arcs, the events usually boil down to fights, training, and exploration. Fighting takes up at least half of each arc.
Oh, okay, you're gonna boil it down for Dragon Ball, but apparently York New City is just so complicated that you can't. I don't. Fine. Alright then, you do you, Doc. You do you.
Jojo parts, starting from part 3, the events usually boil down to fights, exploration, and MacGuffin hunts. Fighting takes up at least half of each part.
MacGuffin hunts?
Part 4 was not exploration or MacGuffin hunts. It was just them living their lives and trying to find it.
Saying part 4?
Part 4?
Primarily part 3 and some of part 4 because they introduced
He said part 3 and up.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Is he saying that specifically? So, no, he's saying that specifically because it introduced stands. He's not accounting for part 1 or 2 in the character / plot / so on and so forth. Considering 1 and 2 had vampirism and the Stomask Stomask to Dio trying to take over the worlds. Then the Redstone of Asia, part 2. All right, never mind then. He couldn't simply list what happened in part 1 and 2 to what happened to part 3 onward, considering it's not a MacGuffin hunt. Part 3 onward.
No, not really. I was gonna say the arrows in part 5, but I was like,
The arrows were not needed in part 1. I mean, part 3 and technically part 4.
I'm saying that's the closest thing I can think of for a MacGuffin.
Gosh,
And again,
Part
part
2
5,
had a
even if it had the
MacGuffin.
arrow, is really there until it was.
It's usually boil down to fights, exploration, and MacGuffin hunts. Fighting takes up at least half of each part. These plots are very formulaic and simple, but like I said in my analysis, the power of an effective formula. It introduces a sense of consistency and stability. If you like the Sand Saga, you'll like the Namek Saga. If you like
No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works, dog.
In that, if you like part 4, you're gonna like part 5.
If you like stands, you'll like part 3. If you like stands, you'll like part 4. If you like stands, you'll like part 5. I don't have to say why that's ridiculously dumb, but I'll still say it anyways because I don't want to sound ridiculously dumb. If you're boiling down, if you like said thing, you'll like other thing. Even if it's an arc, the nuanceness of the story is it's not a factor, which just makes it irrelevant. Which just makes literally the story irrelevant in the fiction you're reading, which I have a major issue with. Action to action doesn't mean you're going to like it. I mean, you might like it, but he sounded very confident when he said that.
To execute. At this point, like, it's all about execution, but I thought he knew about execution being important.
These plots are very formulaic and simple, but like I said in my analysis, the power of an effective formula. It introduces a sense of consistency and stability. If you like the Sand Saga, you'll like the Namek Saga. If you like part 3, you'll like part 4. This consistency comes at the cost of not trying new things and being repetitive.
He does know
I hate
becomes
part,
slice
but
of
it's
life in part.
pretty weak.
I don't know. This guy's a moron. What the hell's his problem?
Again, what's his name again?
Yumesuke?
Yumesuke. It's the execution. That's why I like part 4 more than 3. way more way more in like 6 than freaking 5.
Also, part 4 to part 3 is very different.
They're different. The only similarity is like the stands and some of the characters. Obviously, like it's more of a slice of life. It has more of a slice of life stuff. And the villain is different. There's so many much different things. Is again execution.
I was to sidetrack, I was talking with this guy about Jojo parts. He brought it up, saying that part 5 was so good. I said it isn't. I brought up part 4 is better. He said part 4 is the worst. This is the paraphrase. I don't actually remember who brought up Jojo. I said part 4 is the worst. Part 5 is the worst. Somewhere along the argument, he actually wrote an essay what he believed was bad about part 4. So that was pretty interesting. I mentioned it being slice of life, and is that your issue with part 4? It was slice of life, and it was. And I mentioned, well, all right, but it's a slice of life. Is that bad? Yes. Well, you're saying they can't change genre like that? And it says, yeah, you shouldn't change genre like that. So, yeah, that's the thing that happened with the person I was talking to. That guy is a bit dumb. He doesn't like part 4, but likes part 5.
Consistency comes at the cost of not trying new things and being repetitive, but trying new things comes at the cost of failing or being too different from what the fans came for. An easy example would be The Promised Neverland. I love the first arc, but all of the following arcs stopped focusing on espionage and mind games, which is what I loved about the story in the first place.
Part 2 and 3, because not 2 and 3, 3 and 4, which you mentioned that like if you're gonna like part 3, you're definitely gonna like part 4.
That had nothing to do with plot. That's more like I was about to use the word themes. Freaking themes in my face. Get me saying themes. Not genre. I think I'm just conflating plot with story. So I guess, alright, never mind then. But nevertheless, part 3 to part 4, very different. So, no, I don't know. I don't know what you meant by that one, guy.
In Araki's book on writing manga, he says Shonen Jump stories have 3 principles: friendship, effort, and victory. Motifs like this, and simple themes like do what's right, always work hard, friendship is important, and more are themes that show up in DBZ and Jojo. But I consider these themes and their execution simple for a couple of reasons. The first is how commonplace they are. Araki even calls these motifs Jump's principles. So the themes aren't creative, but the execution of them is also very simple. It's not like there are powerful philosophical battles where the heroes and villains clash on their ideals. The heroes and villains
I mean, this goes back to execution, but
It's real.
yeah, whatever.
Everything is.
But clearly he forgot that notion. No, he may have forgotten that notion, but I really think he doesn't realize execution does matter with simple and the other word he said stuff. Like I really just don't think he realized execution with some simple plots and characters are what matters. Okay, he said simplicity in execution with characters, simplicity in plot and theming.
It's not like there are powerful philosophical
Execution and plot and theming. I said simplicity.
Simple. It's not like there are powerful philosophical battles where the heroes and villains clash on their ideals. The heroes and villains just follow their themes separately, and when the hero wins the physical fight, it shows that their philosophy or way of life was better. Neither really challenges the other on their beliefs. The third reason I call their theme simple is because
Also, they don't really have themes in Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm.
Pride, sir. The theme of pride.
They don't really have themes for characters that actually care about themes in Dragon Ball.
Here you go.
So you could say the Cell Saga's theme is like passing the torch.
We already went over this. If
Oh,
if
did
you
ya?
try to look for themes, you'll find every theme under the sun. They
I
don't
don't think
really-
everything.
they
Like,
don't-
can you tie Goku to Hitler? I don't think so.
You see the blonde hair?
Shit. Oh shit.
Yeah, think about before you speak, sir.
I guess. Be an allegory of something bad.
Let's see here. Oh, what's it? Oh yeah. If you try, you will find every theme under the sun. And it was gonna lead into with a 16 to Gohan. That no, it won't be fair. I'm going to say 16 and Gohan, that conversation, and that's about it. Is most likely a thing with Gohan's character about unwillingness to fight, but I can say, at least with Gohan, his only thematic relevance ended with the Cell fights, or at the very least, when he snapped against Cell. So yeah, I guess one.
I forgot. There actually is some conversation. From Katakuri had. They had that one. Remember when they were in the sand within Duel, talking about who should check it? What was it like? Who should check the bottle first or something?
Bottle?
Where it's just like Katakuri's just like, you do it. I'm not doing that shit.
No, I'm talking about Dragon Ball.
Sorry, I was just reminded of like some of the scenes that they did. Had.
I'm referring to a Dragon Ball theme, sir.
call their theme simple is because outside of this cliche, they don't really have any other themes. If I look at Yu Yu Hakusho and Kenshin, I can find basic themes alongside unique ones. They also have philosophical battles, although neither of them really clash as hard as later battle manga. It's basically the winner of the fight is right. While I would prefer that the themes of DBZ and Jojo were more inventive and executed more interestingly, it doesn't change the fact that they do have themes.
Oh, no, he said execution there.
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
You didn't even
whatever.
bring up any of the themes.
Yeah, he didn't really bring up
Themes all
any
the time,
Dragon
but
Ball
we say
themes.
execution all the time. I don't know. It's just, I just find that a little funny.
It just seems like he just flipped. I don't know if I'm not paying attention, but he really did seem like was flip-flopping against execution and using the word slash meaning to say the word slash
Say?
yeah, I don't know what to say else.
In
Overall, I don't
conclusion,
hate
it's
it.
fast.
I mean, you at least have some understanding of execution. It's just some shit like the freaking part 3 and 4 is like, what? Oh, I don't get that at all. Like, and like, oh, because the stand, like your reason, like your example is like, oh, it has stands, therefore I must like it. I don't get that at all.
You didn't even bring up anything per se about JoJo. You just said if you like the Saiyan Saga, you'll like the Frieza Saga. But you didn't really do anything comparable to JoJo, which I'm going off of. If you like stands, you'll like part 3, and if you like stands, you'll like part 4, and so on.
You could, you know, talk about how some standards
unless that is
is bullshit.
something he meant when talking about similarities, like any similarities, which is still wrong.
Fascinating how these two old battle manga have such simple characters, plots, and themes, but still manage to tell well-written stories.
That's a completely different thing you brought up.
Well
No.
written in Dragon Ball don't mix, sir.
Well written in JoJo is very shaky, dog. Like, part 1 and 2, solid enough. Part 3, the story gets... it kind of goes on and off, the story. Part 4, half of it was Life of Life. A bit of story with Kira here and there. And then the Ghost Girl. And then the story gets turned on. Part 5 was bad. I didn't really finish part 6. And I don't know 7 through 9. Well, I mean, I know the.
I've heard good things about 7.
I know the plot of
Heard
7.
good things about part 8, but I heard the ending is bad.
Whatever, man.
This is because in most scenarios, simple and complex isn't a matter of good and bad, but preference and perspective.
Perspective? That's a new thing he brought up. I'm just a bit taken aback on that.
Simple and complex isn't a matter of good and bad, but preference and perspective. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and help me revolutionize the manga industry.
Also, mate, you gotta change this outro, at least the box art for your first manga. Like, you should really do something more recent. Make it more enticing, since I highly doubt you thought your first box art for the manga was your magnum opus, to say the least.
Knuckles, Tails, Amy.
Sonic. Black Sonic, to be precise. Yeah, I guess that's about it. I guess that'll be... I guess that will be it, since... Unless you guys have one you want to do, that'll be it for me. This is recording. Is it actually recording? Yes, it should be.
Oh.
I checked the video, and if it's not recording, then I guess I'm knackered.
Ready to leave once this is over.
Oh no, I mean, do you guys have a video you two want to do? I mean, do you have a video y'all want to do?
I can't really think of.
Well, alright then.
I really hate using my earphone. Probably gonna get new ones tomorrow. I really hate them because I keep on plugging and plugging out.
Alright, I guess that'll be it then. I started